What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Raybon of the Action Network, and this is our rookie running back preview podcast for 2023. We're going to take turns drafting all the rookie running backs. Me and, of course, one of the top rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Kerner. Sean, what is good?
What's up? Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been talking about running backs for a couple of months now, and I haven't really needed to update my projections or rankings much. But after training camp started, we see all the carnage now with all the contract disputes, holdouts, injuries. So I'm very excited to be talking about these rookie running backs because a lot of these guys might have to step up as soon as this year. So we have a lot to go through. But it's been a crazy past couple of days for the running back position.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of uncertainty. Where is Dalvin Cook going to go? Is Jonathan Taylor going to get traded after all? Is Zeke going to re-sign with Dallas? There's a lot of question marks at the running back position. So, but with these rookies, it always comes down to opportunities. So what we're going to do on this pod is we are going to draft 8 rookie running backs each. So 16 in total, and we will do it in terms of who's the best value, essentially, who will beat their expected score in half PPR relative to their ADP by the most. So we can kind of be fun to track that throughout the year. So Sean, we're going to do a wide receiver episode that's going to be out later this week, and you wanted the first pick for that one, Sean. So I'll go first here, and then we'll just no snake. We'll just alternate. So so we could just kind of. I think that's the most fair way to do it. So I'm gonna start off. I'm just gonna go with the highest floor guy and hope he has a monster breakout rookie year, and that's Bijan Robinson. He's the RB3, so it's gonna be hard to beat, but I can't say no to Bijan. I'm just like the Falcons. I can't say no to Bijan. Over 100 missed tackles forced, led the nation. The Falcons have one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League and about 27 backfield carries per game last year. So they love to run the ball. I think the offense should be better. They were 13th in DVOA last year with Mariota starting 15 games, Pitts missing a bunch of games. So I think the offense will be very good. And remember, Arthur Smith has coached Derrick Henry. Arthur Smith has led the Titans offense to like almost 30 points a game. With Ryan Tannehill at the helm. So I think there's a lot of upside with this Falcon offense, and Bijan's going to be right at the forefront. So it's going to be hard to beat RB3, but he could have a like a historic season right off the bat. And running backs tend to be good right away. Like rookies sometimes is when they peak. So give me Bijan at with the first pick.
Yeah, love it. I mean, it's just an interesting situation where he's generational talent, and he landed in like an elite run-heavy offense with a good offensive line, which is a rare combination to have for rookies. So yeah, RB3, it's gonna be tough to beat that, but he has RB1 overall upside, so can't fault you there. It leaves me with a wide open board, and I think I'm gonna go with Devon Achane at RB43. I like the value there. He's a player. I've been suppressing his projections the past few weeks just because it was looking like the Dolphins were the favorites to land Dalvin Cook. But it does look more likely that Dalvin Cook will end up on the Jets. I know sportsbooks were offering like minus 500 odds for him to sign with the Jets over the weekend. So the more it looks likely that Dalvin Cook won't be landing in Miami, the more I'm moving up Achane in my rankings. And he will likely be part of a 3-way committee to at least start the season with the Dolphins. And he's a smaller back. He's 5'9", 190 pounds, so he probably can't handle a 3-down workhorse role, but he doesn't have to. He's more of a home run hitter that can take advantage of light boxes and as a pass catcher. So I think he's a perfect fit for the Dolphins offense. I think he can hit value in just sort of a limited role. But, I think he has room to grow in this offense. So I think he's a good value at RB43. I think this is where he'll end up if everybody stays healthy. But if, Raheem Mostert, who, is pretty injury prone, gets banged up, or if Jeffrey Wilson gets banged up, he can crush this. So I like the value I'm getting with Achane at RB43 here.
Pop quiz. I know you said Achane is small. What do you think his career high in carries is?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say 17, something like that.
Try 38 against
38.
Louisiana State. Yeah.
Oh yeah, college is yeah.
38 for no. Oh yeah, I meant like I meant his no, because a lot of people will think okay, smaller back, he can't carry the load, but it kind of reminds me a little bit. I remember when Christian McCaffrey came out and like people were like, oh, he's not really going to be able to be a workhorse, and I'm like, have you seen him? And in college, like he was carrying the ball like 20 times every other week. So yeah, I love Achane. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's a good call. I have him in my notes as dollar store Austin Eckler. So I think, McCaffrey would be ideal. But yeah, he does, have that sort of upside where he can handle load if needed. Not sure if he'll translate the NFL level, but certainly I think he can handle more workload than other people are letting on.
Yeah. And remember, this is a Mike McDaniel offense. Yeah. So what does Mike McDaniel come from? Kyle Shanahan tree. Who did Kyle Shanahan acquire last year? Christian McCaffrey. Yep. So like Achane's got to be the McCaffrey in this offense. Unless they get Dalvin Cook and like
still a chance.
Still a chance, but and that's just like a thorn in the side of everyone doing projections and rankings. But love the pick of Achane at 2. All right, let's see. So now the board is really open.
Yeah, good luck.
I am going to go with since we're talking value here, I'm actually going to go pretty low. I'm going to go with Sean Tucker at RB78. I think, in this Tampa Bay backfield, I don't foresee them necessarily signing a veteran because they're, projected to finish 4th, dead last in the division. I don't think this is a team that's going to be competing for the playoffs. So I think they might give Tucker some burn here. Undrafted free agent out of Cuse, but he's got some juice. And I think, anytime you see a backfield like this, Rachaad White was solid last year, but not spectacular. And, Chase Edmonds kind of has fizzled out. So I think there is some opportunity here. And I wouldn't be surprised if, getting down, late in the year, they start giving Tucker more and more carries just to get a look at him. So I'm going to go Tucker at RB78 with my 3rd pick.
Yeah, I like taking advantage of like a volatile running back room like the Buccaneers. Tucker is interesting because he probably would have been drafted in the first 5 rounds, but he had, that heart condition that prevented him from being drafted at all. But it looks like he's cleared for training camp. So if that's not an issue, he has a serious shot to I'm not a huge Rachaad White fan. I think he is going to get leapfrogged by either Keyshawn Vaughn or Chase Edmonds or potentially Sean Tucker. So yeah, that's a good player and backfield to invest in early on in this draft.
Wow, that is I kind of want to now we got to monitor this. Like, what do you think the actual odds are of Keyshawn Vaughn? I don't even have him projected. I have him projected to be cut.
Look, they're all bad. I actually think Sean Tucker's the best pure back in this room, but Keyshawn Vaughn, apparently, according to the coaches, is the backup running back. That's what I've heard. I don't think he's very good. He's struggled in the past whenever he's seen playing time. So this is just and they have Patrick Laird there. Oh my God, like this running back room is a mess. So if Tucker is healthy, if this heart issue hopefully is in the rearview mirror, he could ball out in preseason and leapfrog Rachaad White. There's no reason why he shouldn't. So just because he was undrafted doesn't mean he's not good. He probably would have been a top 5 round pick. So he's definitely someone to monitor in the preseason. And, hopefully he's healthy because he is pretty talented.
210 pounds, a 4.4440, 95th percentile bench press. So he's got some strength to go along with it. And he had a 16% target share. So he's pretty well-rounded. Yep. Big sleeper, but just gotta stay healthy. But where are you going with the 4th pick? We got Bijan to me, you got Achane, and then I got Tucker.
Okay, so I'm going to go down the board as well. I'm going with, let's see, where do we have him? His ADP. I'm going Chase Brown
Yes.
So what's his ADP
We got him
currently?
at RB 64. And by the way,
Okay.
we're using Best Ball 10's ADP over the last 2 weeks, if for those curious.
Yeah, so I do like him as a prospect. Clearly he's going to be Joe Mixon's clear backup at best. I don't think he's in a situation to leapfrog him as a rookie. But there is a potential Samaje Perine role up for grabs where if Chase Brown can adapt to the NFL in terms of pass blocking, he could be their third down back. He does have that potential. So there's a chance he could be offering RB3 flex value in a pinch, even when Mixon is healthy. And then if Mixon goes down, obviously I think he has, RB3, maybe even RB2 upside. Now, one of the things that I was, kind of monitoring was Travion Williams looks like he's a decent bet to be Mixon's backup, but today he was just carted off with a leg injury.
Oh,
So
Jesus. I didn't even catch that.
It could be serious. I know I'm kind of snaking this from you. It could
Fine.
be serious. It could just be a cramp. I'm not saying I know what it is, but either way, it's new info we didn't have before today. So Travion Williams, like I think that he was maybe had the inside track for the backup job. So that opens things up for Chase Brown, who I think is very talented, and he's in a situation where as long as Mixon is healthy, I don't know if he'll hit. But there is, a path to Samaje Perine role. So I kind of like the various paths for Chase Brown kind of crushing ADP. So that's why I think he's a pretty good value right now in the RB 64 range.
Yeah, that because I was hearing like good things about Travion too. So if Travion's out, I mean, I know they don't really they haven't really trusted that guy Evans. He's shown some things in the past game, but I don't think they would trust him with a three down roll or anything like that. So and I don't think they'll sign another back because they just were, trying to cut cap space with Mixon. So yeah, that's I've been eyeing Chase as well. All right. So we got you got Achane and Chase Brown. I got Bijan and Sean Tucker. Let's see what I want to do here. Let's go with we're gonna go with Tyjae Spears, RB 56. I think he's gonna get that backup job to Derrick Henry, especially after Hassan Haskins had the legal issues. And remember, they fired the GM Bijan Robinson and hired Rand Carthen. So it seems like they said Vrabel kind of won a power struggle in that with that whole thing. So it seems like he's kind of getting guys that he wants here now. Yeah. And third round pick for Spears, they had other needs. So, for them to take a running back in the third round, I know he doesn't, what does he have, like -2 ACLs or something like that?
He's missing one.
Yeah. So, but I mean, who needs an ACL? You just
ACL, schmaciel. They're overrated.
But no, he's Spears still is has a lot of burst, and I think Derrick Henry is getting a year older now, so there is a decent chance that Derrick Henry does get hurt at some point, and I think Spears would slot right into that role. Again, I don't really think Haskins showed much, and I don't even know if he's going to be on the team, to be honest with you. And that there's really nobody else in that backfield that I could see take it over. So it's kind of just a moonshot, hoping Henry misses, more than just, 1 or 2 games. I think Tyjae would be an RB2 if he does. So
Henry might even get traded at some point, right? Like
I'm not buying that. I think the Titans are the best team in that division. So I think they're. I'm saying it's possible. Like if things do go south, they could trade him. And I think that he's a talented back. And like we said, he doesn't have an ACL in one of his legs, and he has arthritis. And the Titans still took him in the third round. Mm-hmm. So he's a player that probably won't have a long career. So I'm thinking they're under the impression they're going to use him early. Yep.
Just based on the draft capital and knowing his medical history. And we've seen Dontre Hilliard and I think it was Jeremy McNichols put up decent numbers in like a pass catching role, even when Derrick Henry was healthy. So I think that's a path for Spears to offer value even when Henry's healthy. Like he's a good pass catching back, very explosive. So, there's a path for him to put up numbers when Henry's healthy. But yeah, if Henry goes down, I think Spears would carry the load. And like the first few years of his career, I think he's going to be great, but it's really hard to see how he can have a long career based on the fact that he doesn't have an ACL and he already has arthritis. So I think, he's going to have to produce early, especially since they took him in the third round. He isn't that talented. So yeah, he has sneaky upside right now.
Yeah, he's one of those rare guys. He's probably a better redraft than Dynasty.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So you're up. You got Achane and Chase Brown on the board so far.
God, I could go in like a million different directions. I'm going, you know what? I'm going way down list because I could see you sniping this guy very soon. I'm going with Chris Rodriguez Jr.
My guy. That is my man. I can't believe I didn't even think you were going to touch him. That's hilarious.
No. Yeah, like
definitely sniped me.
Just the situation where he has a very similar early down skill set as Bijan Robinson. So he's going to be his backup to begin the season. But even if Bijan Robinson is healthy, there's a chance Rodriguez could leapfrog him. And there's not many other running backs left on the board I could say that about. And plus, the new offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, apparently had a direct say in drafting Rodriguez specifically. So that's a good endorsement for him. And again, like if Bijan Robinson continues to struggle, he could just leapfrog him. So that's why I think that RB99 is that he's just undrafted right now. Is a steal right now because he could easily crush this even if Bijan Robinson is healthy all season. So yeah, give me Chris Rodriguez. And I felt like you're going to take him very soon.
I definitely was like that was I've been talking about him.
There's some players I want to draft right now. I just don't think you're going to take them, but I had to get this guy. I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a great pick. I am going to go. Now it gets interesting. Let's go with. Oof, Bigsby's hot. Let's go with. Let's go Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm just
gonna take him next.
Like now we're kind of at the middle of the draft. So like I don't love the RB 14 ADP. Yeah. I actually think he's a little overvalued, but now we're at the point in the draft where, other like if Gibbs just kind of holds serve, a lot of these other running backs, aren't guaranteed to do that. So I'm just gonna go Gibbs here, pair him with Bijan. My team's gonna look sexy on paper. But, I think he's going to absolutely take over that DeAndre Swift role from last year at least, but probably something similar to Swift's role, more like throughout the 3 years there, maybe like 9 to 12 carries, try to get him 3 catches a game, and home run hitter, great offensive line. Jameson Williams suspended again. So Gibbs is really their best speed threat. I know they just acquired Mims, but Gibbs is really, their top speed threat. So I think he's going to be used quite a lot. And just kind of another one of these bets where I don't think the median ADP is low enough, but the ceiling, like he's another one of those backs with like he has a top 5 ceiling, and that's even without getting like 20 touches a game. So can't really argue with that. So I'll go with Gibbs.
Yeah, he's going to be my next guy. And I think the rank's a bit too high, but at least he's in control of his own fate. A lot of these other guys need somebody to get hurt to really crush ADP. He could just be a top 10 running back out of the gate. Plus, I was going to say, just with all the volatility up top, like I've been in recent drafts, it's like, how can you take Jonathan Taylor right now over him, or like Josh Jacobs? There's so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
There's injuries popping up. Like that creates a vacuum above him that can thrust him into the top 10. So, that's kind of why all these, holdouts are happening, is because running backs provide the most value early on in their career, and that's Gibbs. So I'm not in line with his rank necessarily, but he seems to have the clearest path to at least be ADP without needing an injury to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, I'm gonna just do it. I don't think that you're gonna take this guy soon, but I can't afford to let you take him. And that's Zach Charbonnet at RB 39, and I realize he's dealing with an injury. It's a shoulder injury. We don't know to the extent. Kenneth Walker's also dealing with a growing injury, but we're still far enough out that Zach Moss, who literally broke his arm, might play week 1. So we still have some time where guys can pick up an injury or two and they still might be okay. So just assuming that Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet will be fine for week 1, I like the value we're getting here. I have them ranked right around here. And if both Walker and Charbonnet are healthy all season, I think he could probably beat this ADP to begin with. And if Walker misses time, I think he has RB1 potential. Like, I think he was one of the best running backs in this class outside of Bijan. Definitely gives me like Nick Chubb type vibes. He's a very smooth, polished runner, and he's also a capable pass catcher. So he's probably a better pass catcher than Nick Chubb is. So I think he could carve out a role, as the pass catching back in this offense. And like I've said, like, I think that he has a shot to get the goal line role as well. Kenneth Walker struggled last year with goal line work. And he was more of a boom bust runner. He was 51st out of 55 running backs in success rate. So he's not getting a bunch of, 4 to 6 yard carries. It's really all or nothing with him. So that doesn't really suit, the Seahawks well near the goal line. Whereas Charbonnet is a very polished, good, like between the tackles runner. So I could see him taking over the goal line work too. And it's non-zero chance he could overtake Kenneth Walker outright. I think he's that good. So I just like all the pass for Charbonnet hitting at RB39 just based on talent alone.
Yeah, I think now is the time to buy the dips. Even if he misses the first couple of weeks, so did Kenneth Walker last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like he started, and because he was behind a guy in Penny that tended to get hurt, and they obviously wanted to get Walker involved anyway. It worked out. So I could see, right now they're calling Charbonnet out indefinitely with the shoulder issue, but I think now's his time to buy the dips, because if that hadn't happened, his ADP would probably only be rising. So it's probably going to fall outside the top 40 pretty soon. So yeah, RB39, not bad. If you have to stash him, you have to stash him.
Yeah, especially since, he might not play in the preseason. And that's one thing that I consider. Like, his ADP will probably drop because we won't see, a Zach Charbonnet 60-yard touchdown run. That could, like, remember Dameon Pierce last year?
When
he started playing, his ADP went through the roof. So sometimes in these situations, if you like attacking a guy as a sleeper, you don't want them showing off so much in preseason. I think Charbonnet would have been one of those guys that would show off in preseason. So yeah. And also, you're not drafting him for week 1 either. Like, he's starting on your bench anyway. So if he does get eased into the season, it doesn't really impact him too much. Really, his upside is later in the season, and potentially if Kenneth Walker were to miss time. So I still like taking him at RB39, but it's something we have to monitor. They might be considering like surgery or something. The indefinitely does scare me. They're probably just weighing their options and figuring out, what the path forward is. So it could break either way, but I just love taking him right now. Even with the kind of shoulder injury looming over him.
Yeah, absolutely. Buy the dip.
Yep.
All right, so we're through 8 rounds. I got Bijan, Sean Tucker, Tyjae Spears, and Jahmyr Gibbs. You got Devon Achane, Chase Brown, Chris Rodriguez Jr., and Zach Charbonnet. So now we kick off the second half of the draft, and I'm going to go with Tank Bigsby, RB48. He's kind of climbing up there in ADP. So the median is probably a little bit high, honestly, right now, just because we're not 100% sure he's going to start the year as the RB2, but I think he's more talented than Hasty. They took him in the 3rd round, obviously, for a reason, and we saw Hasty playing more and more, and ETN, not always being a like 80-90% snap player that he was the few weeks after James Robinson left. Like, as the season wore on, ETN was a lot of times in the 50s and 60s in snap share. So I think Bigsby also has a chance to kind of get, 30-40% of the snaps right off the bat. He has a 94th percentile target share, pretty good pass catcher, and he's got size. So, ETN, he missed his whole rookie year, then stayed healthy, remarkably so, last year, even though he got like banged up a few times in game. But I think ETN, is a good bet to miss a couple of games this season. And this Jag offense, it's looking pretty good on paper, and the defense isn't looking too great. So a running back that could catch the ball and has some size in Bigsby, I'll take it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna take him next. So excellent job sniping me again, but I love Bigsby as a prospect. Obviously, he's backing up one of the best running backs in the game in ETN, but he could certainly carve out a role to produce RB3 flex value. And he reminds me of Chris Carson. Like when you watch his film, it's almost like he seeks contact sometimes. And when he does go down, he like contorts his body, moves around to like pick up an extra yard or two. It's impressive. So I think, the Jags are going to love him. He's going to be talented enough to kind of command targets despite backing up ETN. And then if ETN were to go down, like I think he absolutely has RB2 type upside. So love the value of getting him like in the late 40s. That's the perfect time to take him.
All right, where you go next?
Oh my God, I don't even know. I'm going to go with another what I think could be volatile running back room. And that is I'm going to go with DeWayne McBride. Because he is like the literal backup of Alexander Madison. They're almost like similar players. I think McBride's going to be a very good early down back, probably won't be involved much as a pass catcher. So if Madison were to go down, I think McBride would be the lead back. And, they still have, well, first of all, I don't know if Madison will be able to hang on to the job all season. Like if you do look at his advanced metrics, he's not like a great running back. So there's a chance he could get leapfrogged by McBride even when healthy. But, guys like Ty Chandler, Kene Nwangu could step up. Like this is a very volatile backfield. And I'm not saying McBride is the best back necessarily, but it's one of those situations where I don't know if Alexander Madison can hang on to the job all season long, even when healthy. So that's why I kind of like investing in this. McBride makes the most sense as the back that could leapfrog Madison because they're so similar. So I'm going to go with McBride here. And I think, RB70 is a good time to kind of take a flyer on this because he might not even need an injury to, produce RB3 flex type of value. So I kind of like that path for McBride.
Yeah, it's a wide open backfield. Like that's really like the beat writers don't know who's going to win the job. Nobody knows. Right. So when in doubt, target volatility and hope you hit the jackpot. DeWayne McBride. And he was RB68. All right. With the 11th pick, I am going to go with, let's go Kendre Miller here. So this is another one where, it looks like there's three heads in this backfield, but number one, Alvin Kamara may be facing a suspension. Number two, Jamal Williams is old. Like I know he had a great season last year, and I right. and I loved him, but there's like a non-zero chance Miller, who is 220 pounds, picked with the 71st pick, which is pretty high for a running back. There's a non-zero chance now that Williams is 28. Like at some point he could leapfrog Williams. This isn't Detroit, and we know the Saints love to run the football. Yes, Taysom Hill is there, and that always complicates things. But I'll take my chances with the least expensive Saints back and just hope something good happens here, because the Saints, it seems like they always are good at drafting skill players. Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara come to mind. So they might have just found a star here with Miller from TCU. So the 11th pick of our draft, I think it's a good time to roll the dice here.
Yeah, and I think Kamara is meeting with Goodell this week over the suspension. I think this ADP is like banking on there being some sort of suspension.
Absolutely.
So I think if Kamara ends up not being suspended, we'll see Miller's ADP drop, and it probably shouldn't because Kamara himself has been slowing down. But I agree. I think Jamal Williams, while he's probably my favorite football player as a human being, I think he's hilarious and a nice guy. He's not some elite back. Like he's going to get those leader carries you talk about, obviously. But, Kendre Miller's a legit prospect. He's perfect size. He's 5'11", 215. But he tends to play a little bit smaller. He reminds me of Aaron Jones, where he does play a little bit smaller, but he could really do it all. Like he could be a true workhorse back. He's a good pass catching back. So He has a ton of upside. If Kamara or Jamal Williams were to go down, he could crush here. But this current ADP, I think, is assuming Kamara is suspended at least, 4 games. So this is something that could change rapidly this week.
Yeah. And it's interesting because different kind of players, but the Saints took Kamara with the 67th pick back in 2017. Week 1, he was in a 3-way split with Adrian Peterson and Mark Ingram. And we all know what happened there. So I could see Miller kind of earning that, like a similar thing. Cause like you said, Kamara's been slowing down a little, and Williams is no guarantee to it was a lot, mostly touchdowns. Like he wasn't really giving you much of the passing game, and Detroit obviously didn't love him enough to, offer him the money it took to bring him back. So I think that Miller, it's ugly. It's kind of like the Achane situation where it's like, yes, there's 3 backs, but like there's 1 guy on the upswing and 2 guys on the down.
Yeah.
So I'll take my shot. All right, we're going with so you got the 12th pick. You got Achane, Chase Brown, Chris Rodriguez, Zach Charbonnet, and DeWayne McBride.
I'm gonna go with let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody here. I'm gonna go with Zach Evans. He was a very highly recruited running back entering college. He was a 5-star recruit, even higher than Bijan Robinson. So he had a ton of potential entering college, but for whatever reason, he just never became like a workhorse back. So the Rams took a shot on him. Like, I'll be honest, like he's a risky pick. He's not a slam dunk, but he has a ton of upside. So the Rams took a shot on him in the 6th round. And I think, Kyren Williams, much to my chagrin, last year, I thought he was one of the best pass catching backs of the draft, but he's not really a true workhorse back. I think Evans is absolutely the backup running back to Cam Akers. And they brought in Sony Michel, which I thought was sort of insurance on Zach Evans if he struggles in preseason or he doesn't look the part. They probably would have rolled a Sony Michel. But after he retired, they brought in Royce Freeman, who I'm less worried about. But I think those guys are insurance because, again, Evans is a gamble. But, he could ball out during the preseason. He could show up. He has a ton of talent. So if he does hit and he's on the Rams, he's a Cam Akers injury away of producing. And he's talented enough. He could leapfrog Cam Akers. I don't think that's going to happen, but he has a ton of upside, a ton of downside. But I think this is the time we got to take some swings. So I'm going to take Zach Evans just because he has a wide range of outcomes, and RB 67, this range is the perfect time to take a flyer like that.
Yeah, I was probably going to take Evans next. So, because I was thinking that same thing, if Akers goes down, you look at that depth chart and it's probably Evans. I mean, Sean McVay is weird. He has resurrected the ghost of Michelle and who was it before that? CJ Anderson. Yeah, and Malcolm Brown and CJ Anderson. So like there's probably a non-zero chance that Royce Freeman actually does win that number 2 job, but I agree. I think Evans is more talented and is worthy of taking a shot here. All right, I'm gonna go. Now it's getting ugly here. I wish the Jets weren't the favorite for Dalvin Cook because I do like Abanikanda, but like if he's going to be 3rd at best, and there's still Carter and Knight there.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially at that ADP.
Yeah.
RB 70.
Yeah. I'm just going to take Roshon Johnson and hope that he can at some point either due to injury, with Foreman and Herbert, or, just outplay at least one of them and get into a 1A, 1B type of situation. He should be active from day one, even if he's not a top 2 back, because he's a good special teamer. He's also a good pass blocker. So I think he does get on the field, but obviously he's going to need an injury to Foreman or Herbert, because I don't know if he's going to outplay them like just off the jump in preseason or anything like that. Like, yes, he's got some talent, but the way, Foreman looked great last year, and Herbert, he always looks great. So I think it's going to have to be more of an injury, but this Bears offense is somewhat of an unknown. This could turn into like a an Eagles offense, like if it's like at the top end of the outcomes, with a run heavy but more efficient pass game, but still, working in like 3-4 backs. So I'll just take my chances with Johnson here and hope that he finds his way into some playing time. Fourth round pick, usually like 80 to 120 carries still, it's not far-fetched, but still don't love the three-way committee right now.
Yeah, no, and I was probably going to take Johnson next. He's overlooked because he was Bijan's backup at Texas, but he's more than capable of being a workhorse back. I am team Khalil Herbert all the way. So I hope and think he will run away with the starting job. I've seen a lot of people contemplate that Roshon can find his way on the field as a pass blocker, so a third down back. Unfortunately, that's just not a good role in this offense because feels like to scramble so much. So when people say that, I'm like, that's not a good thing. He needs probably Foreman specifically to go down, or Herbert, and then he could be potentially workhorse back. So he probably needs it. But again, this is a wide open depth chart where he could just be really good and leapfrog both of them. He has that path, so that's why I was going to take him. But this ADP is tough to commit to that because there still are clear backups in this range that are one injury away. He might need two. But either way, love the upside, love the talent. And like you said, he's a fourth round pick for a reason. So I was going to go with him next.
Yeah. And I did see a quote from Herbert himself saying something to the extent of, how everyone's doing it now in this league. They're going to go with a committee. So I don't even think Herbert expects to like quote unquote run away with the job. It'll probably be a similar situation to last year with like him and Montgomery down the stretch. It's just, is it going to be Foreman to start, or is it going to be Johnson? Probably Foreman, but like Foreman's also, I think, an injury risk. So, yeah. Don't hate it, but don't love it. But where are you going with where are we up to? Pick number 14.
Two more picks each, right?
No, I just got one more. I
have 2 picks left. Okay. Yep. I'm gonna go Deneric Prince of the Chiefs.
Ooh, snipe me. I was gonna go ahead next.
Just betting on talent and potential situation because he's blazing fast, which is a good asset to have in the Chiefs offense. Player Profiler has him as the number 3 ranked in athletic score of this class. So he's clearly, an athlete. And this backfield is pretty wide open. Like, I'm assuming Pacheco will be the week 1 starter, but this time last year we saw Pacheco rise as the dark horse back. So anything can happen in this backfield. So I think Prince is worth the flyer here. And he's one of those guys where a couple big runs in the preseason, we could see his ADP shoot up, just because I think people know that this backfield's pretty wide open. Even Clyde Edwards-Helaire has a shot this year. So this is just an investment in the Chiefs offense, really.
Do you think Edwards-Helaire could get traded by any chance? I feel like that could maybe be a possibility with like the way they're talking about Prince. Cause like they really did not, even when Edwards-Helaire came back last year, they really just did not give him any burn.
Yeah. I mean, who's going to take him though? I
don't know. I don't know. But no, I'm just, that would obviously be ideal if like Prince could just start the year he might still, we've seen the Chiefs just healthy scratch, like guys with name value. Like I think it was Shady McCoy for like the Super Bowl and a bunch of other weeks. So I was going to take Prince next. I've been hearing the buzz and kind of reminds me of Pacheco last year.
Yeah.
All right, I got my last pick. I'm just gonna go ahead and go with Israel Abanikanda at RB70, just because I just love the talent. I just love the speed, and they've talked about, they feel like he can contribute right away. So, yes, if Dalvin Cook comes, it's probably a lost cause, but I do think he'll get his opportunities this year. Like he's a pretty fast guy, has a lot of bursts. And it's just a guy that they've been kind of hyping up in camp. So maybe the reason they haven't signed Dalvin Cook yet is because they feel decently about Abanikanda. So I think he's one of those guys where like right now it looks ugly, but there's also, we know Breece Hall is probably a heightened injury risk, and we still don't know exactly when he'll be back. We're hearing that they're kind of out on Michael Carter. So I think things are still in decent shape for Abanikanda, as my last pick, at least. But not obviously once Dalvin Cook signs somewhere, we'll have a lot better idea of his value.
Yeah, and I think this is a great reason to watch the Hall of Fame game. I think Abanikanda is probably going to get a handful of touches, and if he looks as good as I think he will, like that might give them pause signing Dalvin Cook, because I agree. I think he's more than capable of holding down the fort. If Breece Hall has to like miss the first couple games or get eased in, Abanikanda could handle it. So I think this Hall of Fame game, they might be scouting him, weighing the option of bringing in Dalvin Cook based on how he does. So it's an interesting thing to kind of look out for when you're watching the Hall of Fame game.
Do you think, how do you think that rotation will be? It'll probably be Carter, Knight, and then Abanikanda, just like veteran deference, right?
For the Hall of Fame game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think Carter will probably start.
Yep.
Probably won't play much because they already know what they have in him. Maybe same thing with Zonovan Knight. I think you're going to see a lot of Abanikanda and a lot of Travis Dye.
Yeah.
From USC, because he's undrafted. They just need to see what they have. And usually if you're in the Hall of Fame game, you're playing an extra game.
Yep.
So you have these lower depth chart guys get a ton more run than, the regular first week of the preseason. So I think Travis Dye might end up leading this backfield because they really want to see what he has, and they're kind of trying to save these other guys.
Got to go with the Abanikanda, Dye, Brownlee, just stack the entire who's who are we going with that quarterback though? Is it going to be Streveler? Should we get some?
Nope. We're going with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who will probably play the entire second half.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And he's a very good running quarterback. So
yes,
he's going to be the chalk at quarterback.
Yes, that means I got to pivot to Streveler.
Okay, yeah. If you want to do that for GBPs, yeah, absolutely. Streveler running around out there, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, he seems like a fun, like in a preseason, those dudes that like never ball out in the regular, like Danny Etling will randomly have like a big game in a preseason.
Specifically the rushing quarterbacks, because the passing game's a nightmare. No one's on the same page. So guys that can pull it down and run against these soft defenses usually ball out. So yeah, that's a huge asset to have. So Streveler, look out for him, especially if they only have Zach Wilson play like, a couple drives. Streveler could end up playing the entire second half. Then he would certainly be worth the flyer.
All right. We are up to your last pick. Close us out.
I'm going with somebody that's not even listed.
Do it.
What the hell? I'm going with Evan Hull.
I was gonna list him after Moss got hurt, but
he's RB 81, so that's his current ADP.
Okay.
But yeah, his stock just shot up, I would say, over the past 48 hours, just with all the uncertainty surrounding Jonathan Taylor right now. And then Zach Moss broke his arm. But like I said, it looks like he might be ready by week 1. That's how far out we are still. But I do like Hull, as a prospect. He was drafted for his pass catching skills. I think that's his path to playing time as a rookie. But, he is capable of handling a full-time role. Last year, he had 7 games at Northwestern where he ran the ball more than 20 times. So he's talented. I do like Deion Jackson, but Evan Hull, more than capable of becoming, workhorse back in a pinch. And, things are trending that way. I still think Jonathan Taylor might end up sorting it out. And like I said, Zach Moss will probably be ready by week 1. But either way, it's a situation where Evan Hull has a clear path to having early season value. So I like taking him here at RB 81.
Yeah, and I mean, same GM, but new coaching staff. So, they might, I know Moss kind of was, came into favor down the stretch last year, but there's no telling if the new staff is feeling him, because there was a lot of coaching staffs that weren't feeling him before this. So that could go either way. All right. So we have for our draft, I'll just go through the order once more. I started off with Bijan Robinson at RB3. You went Devon Achane at RB 43. Then I went Sean Tucker with the Bucks at RB 78 with my third pick. With the 4th overall pick, you went Chase Brown, RB 64, the rookie from Cincinnati. I went Tyjae Spears of the Titans at RB 53. 5th overall, 6th overall, you went my boy Chris Rodriguez Jr. of the Commanders, who's currently being not drafted, at least in the Best Ball 10 ADP we're looking at. Jahmyr Gibbs was my pick with the 7th overall at RB 14. 8th, you went Zach Charbonnet of the Seahawks at RB 39, buying the dip. 9th, I went Tank Bigsby of the Jags at RB 48. 10th, you went DeWayne McBride of the Vikes at RB 68. 11th, I went Kendre Miller of the Saints, RB 47. 12th, you went Zach Evans of the Rams, RB 66. And then we closed it up. I went Roshon Johnson of the Bears at RB 50. You went Deneric Prince of the Chiefs at RB 74. I closed it out with Israel Abanikanda of the Jets at RB 70. And then you knotted it up with Evan Ho of the Colts, RB 81. So there are a couple of backs that do have ADPs here that we did not draft. So just get your thoughts on these guys real quick. The first is Eric Gray at RB 71 of the Giants, and also Deuce Vaughn, RB 84 of the Cowboys. Any thoughts on those guys and just kind of why you passed them up?
No, I do like Eric Gray. You know, he's probably going to be Saquon Barkley's backup. He has Matt Breida to beat, which shouldn't be too tough, but still, it's a competition. So if he does beat out Matt Breida and is the RB2 heading in the season, I think he's a good handcuff. Solid 5th round back out of Oklahoma. He didn't really break out till his senior season, so he was a late bloomer, which could be a concern. But he's more than capable of like a full-time role if he needs to step up. So I do like him. Just we have to kind of wait and see how the backup battle turns out. And Deuce Vaughn, I love Deuce Vaughn, but he's just probably too small to really see enough carries at the NFL level to produce enough fancy value to draft him. But I wrote down he's micro machine Tony Pollard. Like he's Tony Pollard, like Tony Pollard's mini me. But he runs hard. He's a very good running back. And he might be tough for, players to take him down. So I think he's going to be exciting to watch in preseason for sure. I'm going to have some overs on Deuce Vaughn props, but just at the NFL level, I don't know if he'd be able to consistently see the 15 plus touches a game, which certainly hurts his upside. So that's why I didn't take him, but I do like him as a prospect.
I feel like we had this debate earlier in the offseason because I was like, I feel like Ronald Jones might end up being the guy. And you were like, I think you were more about Deuce Vaughn and Davis, but
Malik Davis, yeah.
I see that you have Ronald Jones in our projections with the most carries of the 3 Cowboy backups. So
that's like because I haven't updated the fact that he's been suspended for 2 games.
But so, even still, before that, you had him 70 to looks like 70 for Jones, 68 for Davis, 55 for Vaughn.
I think if we're talking median projections, yeah, I'll give you that one. But Ronald Jones at this point has no upside.
I mean, Zeke, he can't be any worse than Zeke was.
So just be horrible, but still, horrible.
It's Mike McCarthy. He loves horrible.
Exactly. I want to live in a world where Ronald Jones is not fantasy relevant, though. Is that so much to ask? Send
him back to the Chiefs. I think like right now, Breida is still running with the 2s in Giants camp. So I mean, that's camp's just
early on
anyway. So there's still time, but I think Gray may open the year as the 3, or I mean, there's even a chance they keep 4 if they like Brightwell for special teams again. So we'll see how that
they brought in
out.
James Robinson. Has he even been practicing? I know he was injured.
I haven't heard much about him, but I mean, just judging by his the course of his career over the last 12 months or so, I doubt that he's because the Giants, they're gonna want at least some pass catching ability in that backfield. And I feel like Robinson, if his knees are shot, he's not really gonna give you that. So I don't really know where he fits in, but
how the mighty have fallen. I mean, he was the starting running back for the Jaguars last year, even with Etienne healthy.
Yeah, for a few games. Yeah.
Yeah. And now just nothing.
Yeah. I mean, when the Patriots just immediately they must have, it's either his knees are because the Jets also he's been way too many places to project for.
Yeah. The Patriots. So side note, go off a little tangent here, but I'm very worried about Stevenson. They're bringing in Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Zeke. It seems like Stevenson's going to have some competition for touches. That's my thought.
Yeah, and I think the Patriots, they just ideally they just know that it's not ideal to give one running back like so much work as Stevenson projects for right now. Like they had Damian Harris the last couple of years. Now they don't really have that person. And I guess they could go Ty Montgomery on passing downs, but I feel like Stevenson's good on passing downs. So you don't want to limit his role too much there. So yeah, I'm still on the lookout for them to bring somebody in.
This time offline, I was saying that Ty Montgomery could be kind of like a discount Cordero Patterson on the Falcons when he broke out. So if he were to stay healthy, yeah, he might factor in, but he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah. And like he'll probably, like if the season started today, he would probably make the team and be the like second at least on passing downs into the rotation. But long way to go. And what about any thoughts on McIntosh in Seattle? I know people might be asking about him just because we've got word of, the two injuries. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, with all these injuries, I mean, he's worth a flyer this late, but he profiles as more of, a pass catching back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think his upside's limited, but if both backs are out, he certainly could produce, but I think he's the kind of guy that does need 2 injuries to be offering value, which is a lot to ask.
Which he has right now, but
currently, but again, Zach Moss literally broke his arm yesterday, and I guess he'll be fine for week 1. So that's how far out we are, where you can have a significant injury like that and still be okay for week 1. So that's why definitely monitor McIntosh. I think he's, a good back, but he will need both running backs to be out to offer potential value. So that's why I didn't draft him.
Yeah. And Pete Carroll loves DJ Dallas. Like somehow DJ Dallas got 35 carries last year. Like I don't know when or how, but somehow.
Well, Travis Homer got hurt too, right? I mean, everybody was hurt.
Yeah, but they Homer doesn't really get carries unless like everybody's hurt. But Dallas, like,
I just saw the rest of the depth chart. I don't know who any of these guys are. Holy shit.
Yeah. They better hope out. Like, well, Walker, they said, is not as serious as Charbonnet. So I'm guessing Walker, they're like kind of putting him on ice, and then Charbonnet, they're just kind of hoping for some positive news. So you got to just monitor that. But that is going to do it for our running back rookie preview pod for 2023 here on the Fantasy Flex. We have all of our positional ranking previews out right now, right here on the channel. Also, we'll be dropping rookie wide receivers next, so stay tuned for that. You can find Sean on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. You can find us at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Also, be sure to check out our season-long fantasy rankings on actionnetwork.com as well. Until next time, let's get this money.